Is there help for people like me? Alright, hey guys, this is Ashley. Welcome back to my channel. So I have a fun one for you today, which is called How Many in 2020? So I did How Many in 2019, but before we get started, if you are new to my channel, welcome. If you're an oldie but goodie, welcome on back. My name is Ashley. I have a doctorate in pharmacy and I love makeup, and that's how you get Dr. Ash and her makeup, but please just call me Ashley or Ash, and eyeshadow is really my jam, as you're going to be able to tell by this video. So how many in 2020? What does that mean? So last year I decided to do a video and show you all the palettes that I picked up in 2019. So I'm doing the same thing for 2020. Let me tell you, 2020, you know, I didn't think it was going to be possible with everything that was going on in the world, but apparently it was, okay? It was. So I am just going to run through, I'm going to show you how many palettes I purchased in 2020, and I'm going to run through them, and I'm going to say, if, knowing what I know now, would I have purchased these palettes. So I do have a caveat though. A couple of palettes were gifts. So I will say which palettes were gifts. So I technically didn't purchase them, but I acquired them. So I want to keep it real. Then I have, at the end I'll show you once we get to our tally. I have some palettes that are still on the way because you know what? Everything's been on sale. You know, the whole life has been on sale. All of 2020 has been on sale, but 2020 has just been a mess. So I digress. We have a lot of palettes to get through. Let's see. None of these are in any particular order, and I will let you know which ones are the major offenders. Now, I decided to group all the palettes together according to brands. Some, I only have one from that brand, but if there are multiples from one brand, I have grouped them together just to be easy and just to make this uniform, and it was very easy to organize that way. So let's go ahead and get started, because like I said, eyeshadow's my jam. All right, kicking it off with Kaleidos Cosmetics. Yes, Kaleidos. Oh, packaging bomb all the time. So right here I have Lunar Lavender and I have Shasimi City. So Shasimi City looks like this. Here we go. We have beautiful Shasimi City. So if I had to do it again, yes, I will repurchase this palette. It is absolutely beautiful. You have some beautiful, stunning mattes in here that make a nice neutral look. And the standout shows are these two sparkle shades. So beautiful. I would definitely grab this palette again. Next up, we have Lunar Lavender. Oh, so pretty. Lunar, once again, Space Age Packaging bomb palette from Kaleidos. They always knock it out the park, and this shadow right here is so beautiful. I would definitely purchase this palette again, and I think it was just really unique, and I really dig the color scheme. The mattes, they were good, but I did notice some little like slight changes basis on the other palettes I do have of them, but overall I would purchase this palette again. Next up, I have this palette by the Lip Bar. This is actually the Island Gal collection, and this is actually an eyeshadow palette. It's a face palette, but since it can be used as an eyeshadow palette, I included it in today's video. So this was actually a collection that they had with Justine Skye, and I think it's actually quite beautiful, and I would actually purchase this again. I love the Lip Bar and everything they stand for, and I think they get really innovative with their products, and these have worked well. I've used them as eyeshadows. I've used them a lot as face products. I love this little bronzy shade. It's a little deep for me at the moment, but I really like this. Next up from the Lip Bar, I actually have the After Party eyeshadow quad, and they came out with quads in the year of 2020, which are really quite beautiful, and here she is, and the performance was excellent, and I would absolutely purchase this again. And this is actually one of their first products that they are promoting as a eyeshadow palette versus this one where you have, you know, eyeshadow, blush, bronzer duo, face palette, all multi-purpose. But this one they are marketing strictly as an eyeshadow palette, and I will grab this one again. I purchased it actually at Target. So this brand was actually very new to me, and as you can see by the packaging, you know it is by Tom Ford. So this right here is the Tom Ford 24 Photosynthesis Sex Quad, and this quad is actually very beautiful. I was able to grab this on sale from Off Saks Fifth, And I feel like the color scheme just really spoke to me. The shadows were very easy to blend, and I will purchase this again. So these next two products are actually a gift, and this was kind of like my introduction back into the brand, and I am talking about Viseart. So right here I have the Dark Edit palette, and like I said, it was a gift. My father was like, oh, you can have some extra birthday gifts. He was like, what do you want? I was like, I have this card at Sephora. It costs X amount of dollars. Can you please? He was like, sure. So right here you have the Dark Edit shadows. It is so gorgeous. You can go up and down as far as the color story. The shadows perform so well, and I had this palette just kind of like sitting around, and I hadn't used it, and then I saw London makeup artistry Lynette use this palette. I was like, girl, I gotta pull that out. This thing is bomb. It is so great. The formula is so wonderful. The shimmers are just the right amount of pigmentation, and I really enjoy the type of looks you can get. You can go grungy green, purple, you get the blue in there, fiery warm shades. It's really a vibe, and I hadn't tried anything from Viseart except for maybe like the Petite Pros, and that was the Soleil palette, and there was one more, but I didn't really like those. But this right here is bomb, and I would purchase it again. Next up, I have the Dark Mattes 04. I have been wanting this palette forever. Been wanting it forever. Every time there was a sale at Sephora, or I think about it in Muse Beauty Pro, I think like, oh, I need to grab this. Never grab it. So this is kind of like the big sister to this particular palette. I love this. The mattes are just absolutely gorgeous. You kind of have like the same mattes that you have in here, but like I said, this is all matte palettes, and the tones are just delicious. Now they are a little bit bolder if you're a woman who is not as deeply complected as I am, but I found like these work with so many other eyeshadows in conjunction with like my shimmery shades, like my topper shades. If I just need a matte and I'm working with like something that doesn't have a matte with it, basically like, you know, maybe a standalone eyeshadow or a single shadow, I reach for this, and I have been so happy, and I really think it's really great, and I would absolutely purchase it again. But like I said, these two were actually gifts. Right, coming up on Miss Huda Beauty. So this one was actually kind of like an impulse buy for me. Like I saw it, I liked it, and I was just like, oh my God, it's so pretty. It's so, I just really like it. And, you know, I liked it when it first came out, but then I was just like, I don't know if I'm going to get it. But then I was at Sephora during the sale, and I was like, you know what? It's really cute. I'm going to get it. So this right here is the Khaki Haze palette. I like this. I'm still on the fence. So there's one. We're on the fence about it. I've only played with it once, but overall, I think the color scheme is really pretty. So right now, the verdict is I'm on the fence. Next up, we have the Naughty Nudes by Huda Beauty, and this was just kind of like the big sister, you know, the glow up for new nudes. So I really enjoy this palette. You know, there's one shade in here that's Sorry, I'm like, it's a lot going on in these shared spaces of this condo building. Like, what's really good? So back to the Naughty Nudes. There is one shade in here that is just, it doesn't even exist in my world, and that is this shade right here called Slippery. I'm like, what is it? But overall, the palette is fabulous. I really love burgundy tones. I really love cranberry shades. I love how pigmented this is. This is really rich and bold. It's a palette that I can just use all the time. You have this great luxe mirror that I'm trying not to blind you with and show all my personal business in the background. But I would absolutely purchase this particular palette again. Next up, we have the Rosy Glam by Makeup by Mario. This is a quad, of course. He came out with his own makeup brand this year, and you know, some of the shadows were really interesting and some were just okay, but I really do like this little palette right here, or this quad rather, and you can get some really cute, quick, easy looks out of it. So I do enjoy this, and the price point was just right, and the formula is actually really nice. And you would expect to have a nice formula for him for such a known makeup artist. And I would purchase this. Coming up on the brand right here, we have Colourpop Cosmetics. So last year, this brand was just a major repeat offender in my collection. And I say repeat offender because, you know, last year they dropped their whole monochromatic palettes, and I mean, it's like, oh my god, I ended up with almost every one of them, and plus the other palettes. And you know, they drop something every week. The pandemic has definitely slowed them down. So let's go ahead and tackle these palettes right here. First up, we have the Baroque palette, and this palette was one of my favorites of 2020. If you didn't catch that video, please catch that video. But this palette is absolutely gorgeous. The tones are wonderful. It's cool tone, it's blue, it's lavender, it's gray, and it's just so unique, and I would definitely purchase this palette again. Next up, we have the Grandeur palette, and this was also part of the Baroque palette series, which was the Dark Blooms, and I think that this palette is really great. Also, you have some really nice neutral tones. You have a couple of duochromes, and I really enjoy this palette, and I would buy this again. So this is one of the first palettes that Colourpop came out with in the year of 2020. This is the Making Mauves palette. So this is kind of still in their monochromatic theme. I haven't even touched this palette. And when I look at it, I'm just like, I was kind of on the fence about buying it. And I never even touched it. And I really don't plan on touching it. And guess what? I wish I had not bought this palette. I wish I didn't buy it. This right here is Colourpop's Valentine's Day release. And this is the All That palette, and I thought that this palette was really gorgeous. You guys know I love some red shadows and some fiery tones, and I thought this palette was really beautiful. But then I got it in person, I was just like, I'm not really feeling it. And I actually tried to talk myself out of buying this palette, especially because I purchased another palette that I'll show you later, but I wish I did not buy this palette. Next up, we have the Everyday Eyeshadow Palette by Mented Cosmetics. I think this is a really nice, beautiful palette. This could be a staple palette in a lot of people's collections, but this palette really doesn't scream Ashleigh, so I kind of wish I did not purchase this palette, but I did purchase this with the intent of kind of reviewing Mented Cosmetics because I was really interested in them. But overall, I wish I did not purchase this palette, but the tones in here are really nice. Next up, we have Violet Voss Matte Vibes. This palette I saw it and I was like, oh, it's so pretty. And I really enjoy the matte tones in here, but this one I think I could have lived without also. It was really nice. I made some nice looks with it. It's really great quality. But when I just think about like everything I've curated in my collection this year, I think I did not need this and I wish I didn't purchase it. Next up, we have two palettes from Morphe. So we have a Morphe store where I live in Chicago, and they just put one in the Water Tower Place. So I found this palette, which is called the Making Bank palette. This is like an 18 pan palette. And Amy Loves Makeup had talked about, gave this palette such glowing reviews. It is actually pretty nice. It's green palettes. You know, I love green eyeshadows, but I'm really not in love with Morphe's formula, so I wish I hadn't purchased it. Next up, we have the Jaclyn Hill palette. This is her second palette. Volume 2, where you have these really warm, fiery tones. And you know, like I said, I love warm, fiery tones. Honestly, it's just too many dang on shadows. And I just wish I hadn't purchased this palette. And next year, I'm going to not dip into Morphe because I just don't really care for the formula, so it's just really no need for me to spend my money on it. Next up, we have a very special palette to my collection, and it's called Rattler Glam. I did show this kind of with my Black Friday haul, and it's by a company called Admire Creations, but it's so special because I went to Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University, and she created this palette after our mascot because we could not go to homecoming. And I absolutely would purchase this palette again, and I have to figure out how to display this in my collection. But look at these tones because, you know, our school colors are orange and green. I would purchase this palette again. Next up, we have Summer Vibes by Give Me Glow. So I have such mixed emotions about Give Me Glow because I finally gave them a serious try this year, and I tried out the Christmas Morning palette this year, even though I bought it last year. But this palette is definitely better than the Christmas Morning palette. But knowing what I know now, would I have purchased this? I think I could have lived without it. The shimmers are actually really pretty, but like I said, in the grand scheme of things, I could have done without this palette, so I wouldn't have purchased it. Well, next up, we have, you know, kind of a major offender for 2020, which is Melt Cosmetics. You know, they have been turning all their stacks into palettes, and, you know, pretty much we've been here for it. So the first palette right here. So, 420. Love green eyeshadows, but I would have not purchased this palette again. And it's actually not the fact that I purchased the palette. What I should have done is return the palette because it's just not good. So no, I should have returned it. So that's a no. Next up, I will most definitely purchase this palette again if given an opportunity. This is She's in Parties, and it's such a great burgundy tone lavender palette. Nice 8 shades, buttery, creamy. This is so good. I would have purchased this again. Next up, we have the Rust palette by Milk Cosmetics as well. This is a beautiful rusty tone palette, and I would purchase this palette again. It is so beautiful and just gives the right amount of grunge and glam. So I really like it. Next up, we have Recently Deceased. And this is the Beetlejuice collection, so holiday 2020. And you guys already know how I feel about this palette. I would definitely purchase this again. This is one of my favorite palettes of 2020. And to wrap Milk Cosmetics up, we have the Waiting Room palette, and I would definitely purchase this palette again. It is great. I love it so much. So yes, I would purchase this again, and this is also part of my best of 2020 eyeshadow palettes. Next up, we have another small repeat offender, and it's BH Cosmetics. First of all, if you told me in 2020 that I'd be checking for BH Cosmetics as hard as I am right now, I'd be like, you're joking, okay? But let's start with the Sweet Shots palettes. I just received these palettes in the mail because I had to catch them on a restock after I found out how great they were. And the only one I have used so far is Pistachio. I wore this on Christmas morning, and I really would buy this again. It is beautiful. Do you see it? Do you see it? And the shimmers are so rich and good and buttery. No problem. I would purchase that palette again. Next up, we have Bubblegum. Yes, Bubblegum is the blue version, and I have not played in it yet, but when I look at it, I'm just like, oh, it's so good. I'm excited and inspired, and I would purchase it again. And don't worry, I will have some looks with these palettes sometime soon. I just got them too late. I haven't had a chance to do anything with them really this year, so do plan on seeing, you know, at least 3 looks with each one of these. These 2 palettes by BH Cosmetics, you can find 3 looks, 1 palette with on my channel. And first up, we have Avocado Toast, and this one is one of my favorites. It's an honorable mention of 2020, and this is what it looks like. And I would purchase this again. The quality was good. It was inexpensive. I like it. Next up, we have Blueberry Muffin. This one was super duper cute as well. Like I said, the quality was great. You have neutrals, you have blue without the neutral taking over the blue. It is really, really cute. I would purchase this again. Next up, we have a repeat offender. And when I get to the next part of the video, yeah, you're a repeat offender. So this one right here is part of their influencer collection. This is the La Mariposa palette. This is Yami Angelina with Juvia's Place. The palette is gorgeous. I just received this in the mail on Tuesday. Today is Thursday, New Year's Eve, so I haven't had a chance to do anything with it other than to swatch this gorgeous shade right here that is like a metallic, some metallic slash glitter. I don't know, but it's called Glitter Cling. I think it's really pretty, and I would purchase this again, and I haven't used it yet, but just for right now, I would purchase it again. We right here have one of their holiday palettes. This is the Nubian Glow by Juvia's Place. I think it's really cute. It's a nice yellow palette. There are some yellow golds with some green hints in there, and I like it, so I would purchase this again. Next up, we have the Nubian Royal, and this is also a purple palette. You have some very pretty purple tones in here, and I would purchase this again. Next up, you have 2 of my favorite palettes of 2020. So first up, we have Wahala, and I would purchase this again. You guys already know I love this palette. I think it's gorgeous. The tones are just beautiful, and I would definitely grab this again. Then we have the follow-up, the Wahala 2. This one right here was like just a sneak attack. No swatches, no nothing. 2 duochrome shades, absolutely stunning. Beautiful, beautiful formula, great pigmentation. I would purchase this again. Next up, this palette is very new to me. I just picked it up right after Christmas, and I have shown this on my channel. And this is the Supreme Nudes, and it's by Artist Couture. And I think it's a beautiful nude palette, and it performs very nicely, and I would pick this up again. Another palette that is new to me, this palette was actually on my makeup wish list. It's so pretty. Look at the packaging. This is called the Feral palette by Menagerie Cosmetics, and I haven't even had a chance to play with it. Look at the actual cover. Oh my gosh, it's so good. I would definitely purchase this again, even though I haven't even used it, but I will be doing something with this palette on my channel very soon, so you can get some inspiration looks with it. Another palette that I haven't even had a chance to play with, this is the Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde, and I should have had with my Huda Beauty palettes, but when I pulled out Supreme Nudes, I realized I was like, oh, this is still in the bag. So I've kind of been eyeing this palette, and Kara talks about how good this palette is, so I was like, you know what, I really want to try it out. I haven't done anything with it, but I would purchase this again, and I do have something fun planned with this palette, and this is the beautiful, if I can open it up, this is the gorgeous color story that we have right here. It's so pretty, so I would purchase this again. Next up, I have two palettes by Sydney Grace. This one right here is called the Enduring Love. I actually have the deep color story, or the deep palette, and this is what it looks like. It's a beautiful cool tone with some pops of warm in here, and I would purchase this again. So I do really like it, and the quality is outstanding. Next up, we have Tiny Marbles. Look at how beautiful this look. Mel knocked it out the park. I think this palette is actually really, really beautiful. But a couple of my shades came kind of broken, cracking, so I'm like, yeah, it looks kind of ugly, and because it's broken. But this palette is stunning, and I would purchase this again. Next up, you know she's always a repeat offender in my book or in my collection, and it is Mama Pat. So first up, I have one of her eye quads. I opted to only pick up one of the quads right here, which is the Interstellar Icons. This is the one with the blue. If I can get it open. Here she is. We have Interstellar Icons. This quad is absolutely gorgeous, and I would definitely purchase this again. Next up, we have Rose Decadence, and I would definitely purchase this palette again, even though I was kind of sick of her doing all the pinks and the peaches and stuff like that, but I really do like this palette. I love those matte tones. I love this fiery copper shade, and I do think this is perfect for my collection, so I would purchase this again. Next up, we have Divine Rose 2. You already know I will purchase this particular palette again. It is so gorgeous, so delicious. The color story is just on point. I love it so much, I would definitely purchase this again. Another palette that I've loved so much is Celestial Divinity, and I would definitely purchase this again. And I thought about it, I was like, maybe I don't need to purchase it because it has 12 shades that already exist, but I was like, I need to get it. And it's actually the palette that I'm wearing right here on the outer corner of the eyes. It is just stunning, and the price point was great when we're talking about the Pat McGrath brand, and I would purchase this again. Next up, we have a palette that was a little disappointing, but this is the Juicy Boost by Colored Raine. I'm such a big Colored Raine fan, and I actually am wearing this palette today. I'm wearing this shade right here, which is called Lemongrass. I'm wearing it all in the inner corner of my eyelids, and even though it's like the performance wasn't the greatest, I would purchase this palette again because I really like the shimmer shades, but and you can make some of the mattes work, but I would get it again. But I will wait till it's on sale. Sorry. I'm sorry. I love you, Colored Raine. Alright guys, so we're almost there. So right now we have the Nabla Cutie palettes right here, and these were just so cute, and this is the first one. This is called Platinum. And I was really wanting to get this one, but it was sold out. I was like, wait, we're doing cool tones. People are into it. So I would definitely purchase this again. The formula is really, really great. Next up, we have the palette Wild Berry. I tried to keep myself away from this palette, but these tones were really, really just calling me because, you know, that's just my color scheme. So I would purchase this palette again. Next up, we have the Metropolitan palette, and it's so darn cute as well. And the shimmers were just really great. The mattes were great. It's a great 6-pan palette, so I would purchase this again. Next up, we have two palettes by Hank and Henry. I haven't even had a chance to try these out yet, but I was definitely most interested in the Poison palette, and then the way they offered it at the time was kind of like, you got to get the mystery bag, but get the mystery bag what you know is in it. But look at this color story. It's green, it's blue with a pop of lime green. Is super cute. So at the moment, I would purchase this again because I haven't even tried it out, but I'm really digging the color story. Next up, I have the Teddy palette by Hank and Henry, and this one The color story is actually really cute as well. So I would purchase this again. It's very bronze and it has a couple of little jewel tone pops of color. So I would purchase this again, and I definitely need to like put these two palettes to use. Next up was a new brand to me as far as trying out their formula, and this is the Sigma Untamed palette, and they have really impressed me. This formula is gorgeous, and this is what it looks like right here. The performance was also very excellent on this palette, and I would purchase this again. Alright, so we're coming up on the last set of palettes that I have to show you physically in person, and this is probably the #1 repeat offender in my collection. And it is Miss Natasha Denona, okay, right here. So let's go through it. All right, first up we have the Love palette right here. And this palette is really cute. You know, sometimes I don't feel like it's her best work, but I would purchase this again. It's really cute. You got purples, you got pinks, you got some reds. And the price side, you know, the price point of this particular palette is just right. Not to mention, you know, I like these little mini palettes right here. It's a lot of bang for your buck, so I would purchase this again. This was one of my favorite palettes of 2020, and it is the Natasha Denona Glam palette. Now, this palette, I actually used my Sephora gift card, so I didn't spend any money on this palette. And I actually would purchase this again or purchase it out of pocket again if I had to. And I really do like this palette. This palette was one of my favorites of 2020, and it's just so good. The color story, for you know, neutral, cool tones, this color story is great, and it performs great as well. Next up we have the Bronze palette, and you know this is right up my alley. Like, I saw this palette, I was like, I want all them bronzes, I want all them golds, I want all them coppers, and yes, I would purchase this again because it's absolutely stunning. One of my favorite palettes of 2020. Also, I would absolutely get this again. This palette right here is the Natasha Denona Trio Chrome palette. I really fought hard to not purchase this palette, but I'm glad that I did purchase this palette. This is the holiday of 2020. Now, it's not my most favorite Natasha Denona palette, but the mattes are really, really nice, and I do appreciate it because these are nice mattes that are a little bit more pastel in nature, but still work really well on my skin complexion. So I like that. And then the Trio Chrome shades, they're not bad. They're not the most Trio Chrome, but I would grab this palette again. This palette is not new, but is new to my collection, and I grabbed it during the Sephora sale during the spring. And this is the Natasha Denona Lila palette, and it's gorgeous. I mean, you have cool tones, you have bright, vibrant purples and fuchsias, and I absolutely love it. Then you have some neutrals. I mean, it's really great. This is one of my favorite shades right here, and I would grab this again. I'm happy to have this in my collection. And next up, I have the Purple Blue eyeshadow palette. Yes, y'all, I have a big boy, a 28 pan. This palette was on sale during Black Friday. It was like 40% off, 45% off. And this palette was actually a gift from my brother. I was like, this is what I want for Christmas. Thank you. And it's a white leather. It's gorgeous. And look at this color scheme. Oh my gosh, I've been wanting this palette, and this, like I said, it was a gift, and I would get this as a gift or pick this out as a gift for myself again. I really, really like it, and you will see something with this palette on my channel. I do promise you that. I think it's really, really pretty. Alright guys, so that's all the palettes I have to show you in person. But then, like I said, you know, stuff has been on sale. So I purchased quite a few palettes. So I'm just going to kind of scooch over so I can put a couple pictures right here. So from Alien Cosmetics, I have 3 palettes. You know, I have their holiday palette, and Kara actually introduced me to this brand. I really wasn't checking for them, but she found this holiday palette right here. She really thought it looked like Morphe, and I was like, after seeing her use it, and I think Betsy used it, Betsy Gotcher, I was like, I like that. So I decided to order it. Then we have the Fairy Frolic palette. So I got this on a pre-order because, you know, I wanted the holiday palette, and I thought this color scheme was really, really gorgeous, and I heard good things about it as well. So I decided to grab that palette. And then the palette I really wanted from them, I was like, oh, it finally came back on pre-order, and that was last night, was the Serendipity palette. So I can't wait. I can't wait to play with these palettes. Then Nomad Cosmetics. This is a brand that I wanted to try for, you know, 2021. So I was just like, oh, but they had a sale. I want to say they had 30% off. I don't know. But I picked up the Berlin palette because I Thought the color story was really cute. And then I also picked up the Marrakesh palette. And you know, the fun thing about Nomad's Cosmetics is just basically off of a travel theme. And I think their palettes are really beautiful. And I've heard a lot of good things about them. So I wanted to try these two palettes. And then, oh my gosh. So, Juvia's Place, you're just a repeat offender because I picked up Miss Fumi de Salavold. I love her. She's so damn cute. FDV, baby. I picked up her second collab with Juvia's Place with Disco Fever, but I waited a while to order it, and I kind of waited till they had the sale. I didn't know they were going to have the sale, but because my lipsticks and my Yummy palette was just floating forever, and so I was just like, look, I just can't purchase another palette without having the first set of order I got from them, even though it wasn't their fault with shipping, it was just held up. So I got the Disco Fever palette. Then I thought the Melissa palette was really, really beautiful. And then I've been also watching a lot of best of 2020 eyeshadow palettes. And a lot of people had the Mauve palette by Juvia's Place in their collection. So I was just like, I did not know they had that duochrome shade. So I grabbed the Mauve palettes. So all in all, I have 59 palettes listed on here. It's actually 60 because I know I forgot to add, no, I lie. It's 61 because I did not add on my Angel palette from Artist Couture, which is the Supreme Nudes, and I did not add on a Huda Mercury Retrograde. So we're at 61 palettes for the year. 5 of them were gifts. Judge me. This is a judgment-free zone. Thank you. And I've also just I haven't necessarily taken the approach that I'm just buying everything, but there's just a lot of good stuff I wanted to try out and show to you guys and give you inspiration because this has just been a great hobby for me. The YouTube part, I mean, not buying eyeshadow palettes, the YouTube portion. But, and also in my defense, a lot of these palettes were released in conjunction with each other. Like, you know, these were released together. And, you know, these two by Juvia's Place were released together. And then, you know, this was released together, but I exercised self-control and only bought one. And so, you know, it is what it is. I hope next year we can do a little bit better. But these are the palettes that I bought in 2020. So we've ended up with 61 palettes. And then quite a few, I mean, not a lot, but quite a few that I was just like, I would not purchase again. So lessons learned on some of those palettes I would not purchase again, especially the Morphe palettes. I don't want to dog them out, but that's just not my favorite formula. But overall, I'm very satisfied with what came in my collection this year, and I think I got some great eyeshadow palettes overall. So let me know how you guys feel about this video. What did you guys think? I hope you're not judging me too hard. Like I said, you've seen most of this stuff on my channel. I have put it out there for you guys. So let me know down below. Comment, are there any palettes that you wish you hadn't purchased this year or palettes that you wish you did purchase this year? Let me know down below in the comments. Give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel because you know I would love to have you here in my little makeup family. And with that being said, you already know what time it is. It's time for the chair dance. Hey, 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 chair dance. Chair dance. Chair dance. All right, y'all. Bye.